this is Chad Steinkamp with Northern Country Co-op. Today we're going to talk about soybeans. So I've been fielding some calls today from some of you growers wondering about their soybeans. What we're going to do for herbicide program as a plan B, because we could not get the spray on before that rain last week. Or maybe we're seeing some crusting because of this rain, or maybe even some herbicide injury. So I figured it'd be a good day to take a little time and shoot some videos. Okay, so I'm in a grower's field that was planted a couple weeks ago. And you can kind of see we do have some tight ground here. After that packing rain, we had anywhere from 4 to 5 inches locally around this area. And that happened from Thursday on through to Sunday. So we did have a fair amount of some heavy rains here in Mitchell and Mower County, here in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa. So you can kind of see we got some stuff starting to come up, but we do have some kind of struggle in here too. So you can kind of see this, there's a few of them that are just right under the surface, and guys are kind of concerned, are we going to lose some stand here? We could maybe use a little bit of rain. When you get that much rain that quickly, obviously that is a concern. The other concern that we're going to be dealing with is maybe are we dealing with some herbicide injury. Anything that we're using as a pre-emerge on soybeans can be hard if it's cold and wet. We do see a little bit of scarring here. Generally this is pretty cosmetic, but have heard some reports of some fields that might be in a little worse shape, just depending on situations of when that rain hit versus when things were planted. But as a whole, this field definitely has a crust on it. It doesn't take much to see why we're maybe dealing with some emergence issues. I've had a few phone calls from some guys here the last day or so on that, and it seems like things are still pushing pretty good, but you know, it is a concern when we get to this time of the year. We got a ways to go. Areas that are going to be a little tougher, obviously, if you got some heavy clay ground in that area, could be a problem. Some things to remedy it. Obviously, a little bit of rain would probably help kind of loosen things up a little bit, but at this time, I'm sure if you guys want to dry off a little bit, it's actually in pretty good shape considering the amount of rain that we've had. You know, a couple days ago, I wouldn't even imagine try to get into these fields because it was pretty muddy. So things have definitely improved here the last couple days. We've had some good wind, we've had some pretty good sunshine here, but it is definitely a little harder out here. But for the most part, I think things are pushing right along. But you know, one thing to consider with soybeans are they usually do a pretty good job of compensating for each other. If we do lose some stand here, usually beans will kind of work their way through that and kind of fill in the gaps. So we'll see how this goes, but this was one that we did get a herbicide on, and that's maybe why we're seeing a little bit of that scarring there, but some of that is a little bit more cosmetic. So we'll get to the next question. What happens if I got my beans planted, but I didn't get my pre-emerge on if I was planting a pre-emerge? Well, these beans are very close to coming out of the ground. I just dug a few spots out here just to see what these things were looking like, and really they are not that far from coming out of the ground. You can see the arch is looking pretty good. They're getting very close to popping out of the ground. I'm going to just dig a little bit back here, and you can kind of see they're hooking very well. Most of our pre-emerge products, they are pre-emerge only, so your Sonics, Authority First, Zidua Boundaries, Zidua Pros and Boundaries, we cannot put as a post-applied pass. So Plan B will be adding a residual to the program. Outlook, Zidua, straight Zidua, Zidua SC, not the Pro. Dual would be a good option as well. And then depending on what else is out there, maybe a little bit of Roundup for some grass around the outside, or maybe we may have to bump up throw some enlist in there if you've got enlist soybeans to help with some early flush on the ragweed side of things. Probably going to have to plan a 2-pass post program, so probably an early pass with maybe with that residual to give us some more time, and then come back with some enlist later, and then maybe some liberty at that point as well. It's not maybe what we want to do, but it's probably what we're going to have to do in those situations. But we can put something together and put a good plan, and probably have just good success as maybe we would hope with the other program. The other side of it is rolling. This field also didn't get rolled. When you have the forecast that we had, I wouldn't either, and I don't. But one thing on the rolling side, you got to be a little careful of. We can roll pulse-applied beans, but you got to be very, very careful on that. Cotyledons need to be out, and a warm, sunny day, preferably in the afternoon, is probably best. So it's something that you may want to try. If not, I think not doing it is what it is. But I think at the end of the day, that is something that a person has to decide for themselves. So kind of looking forward in conclusion of what I've kind of shown here tonight. Just because things didn't quite go well like we thought would, doesn't mean that the season can be a failure. Look at it as an opportunity to maybe come up with a new solution. And at the end of the day, we can kind of help you out with that and put something together for you to help us get through the 2023 season. Anything else? Talk to me or your Northern Country Co-op agronomist, and we'll catch you next time.